Hello there. Today, we will take a look at project closure procedures. These are very important to understand the order of closing things out on the project. Now, while there's no hard and fast rule about how everything should be, certain rules do need to be followed. Let's first of all examine closure or completion criteria. This is not necessarily in order. First of all, a project manager should ensure that documents are updated and deliverables should be confirmed as updated before the project is closed. If there are any issues, they should be resolved, and the project manager should confirm deliverable delivery. You want to confirm that that deliverable was indeed delivered to the customer. You also want to ensure customer formal acceptance and ensure that costs are charged to the project. You should also close any cost centers or project accounts. When this is done, you need to begin thinking about closing out the human aspects. So you need to ensure that personnel, once all of the assignments are complete, you reassign those personnel. But it has to be done only when their assignments are complete. Some of these individuals could also be involved in documentation, final reporting, and dealing with excess material. So when you get questions, proceed with care. Ensure that if those people are needed for closing out certain aspects of the project, don't release them immediately. Number 10, reallocation of physical resources. We're talking about facilities, supplies, materials, and things of that nature. Finally, in this section, we talk about elaborating final project reports as required by the PMO or management in a firm. Now, this is not all. We also need to think about contractual closure of a project. So when closing out a project, think about the formal acceptance of the seller's work. That must be confirmed. You also want to finalize any open claims. You will get questions that test your understanding of ensuring seller's payment and finalizing open claims. Lastly, in this section, you should update and archive any contractual records for future reference. The next section is business and strategic closure requirements. So at a snapshot, you can see here on the screen, you need to collect project or phase records. You also should audit project success or failure. How do you know if the project succeeded or not? How do you judge if it failed? Well, as they say, success is in the eye of the stakeholder, but also remember that the project charter does contain some information to give you better insights into this. Manage knowledge sharing and transfer, identify any lessons learned, and archive project information for future use. I have categorized this as business and strategic closure requirements because when you think about it, these phase records, success or failure, managing knowledge, transferring knowledge, identifying lessons learned, and archiving information for future use in the company as a whole, this boils down to business and strategic closure requirements. The final category here is deliverable transfer or transition. When we talk about transfer, it could be transfer to a customer, transfer to an operational unit, or some other part of the firm. So first of all, collect process or policy improvement suggestions. These suggestions need to be funneled to the right channel. So distribute these suggestions to the right channel. Next, the project manager should measure stakeholder satisfaction. Is a stakeholder happy, pleased? If there is a net promoter score or some other qualitative measurement, that could be gleaned to understand the stakeholders' disposition to the project overall. It is not too late to make amends at this point because the project is not closed. Finally, establish premature procedures for closure. In other words, if the project is terminated, you should investigate and document premature closure and termination reasons. There are several ways to examine and review project closure, but this is just one of the ways. So in closing, certain things you should do. One, administrative closure. You want to review all the work and ensure completion. In addition to this, you should ensure completion or exit criteria for the phase, all the documents, all the deliverables. They should all be updated. Any outstanding issues should be resolved. Confirm deliverable or delivery, formal acceptance, transition by the client. Reassign or reapportion excess materials and supplies. Reallocate project facilities or equipment. And ensure that relevant costs are charged to the project. Closing charge accounts, cost accounts, project accounts should be done, and complete the final project report. This could actually be a deliverable. Let's talk about contract closure procedures one more time. We're talking about completion of contractual related activities for the project or phase, formal acceptance of the vendor or seller's deliverable or work. These are important steps to take so that one is not in breach of contract. Finalizing open claims, updating records and documents to reflect the final result. Since a lot of companies rely on procurements, it's important that we collect any appropriate project or phase records, and those should end up being archived for future use. Finally, lessons learned and knowledge transfer. Audit project success or failure and transfer these lessons learned to the lessons learned repository. This is talked about quite a few times in the PMBOK guide, the concept of a larger lessons learned repository. Investigate reasons for termination before completion. This is definitely something that the project manager is expected to do. Collect and share any suggestions for organizational process assets improvements. There could be templates, processes, or documents to improve. Transfer the deliverable to the next phase or to operations. And that, my friends, concludes our review of how to close a project through the lens of the PMI in preparation for your PMP exam. If you found this to be helpful, hit the like button, share with your friends, it will be much appreciated. If you are struggling as you are preparing for the exam, be aware that we have a series of courses under the PMP exam immersion umbrella. Go on down to hpmexam.com for you to experience a 4-hour bootcamp where we cover every single one of the 35 tasks for the PMP exam. The next one is coming up on Sunday. So go on down to the website, hpmexam.com, and check out the schedule. All the very best, and bye for now.